A post-transplant child presents to the clinic with a rising creatinine. They are on a standard maintenance regimen of tacrolimus, mycophenolate, and prednisone. The team faces a common dilemma. Is this medication toxicity, or is it an allograft rejection? When adjusting immunosuppression, it is critical to know how to distinguish between the two. If you do not understand the mechanisms and the unique side effects of each drug, you cannot make the right decision. By the end of this episode, you will understand the principles of induction and maintenance immunosuppression, the mechanisms of action for major agents, their specific side effect profiles, and the essential concepts behind therapeutic drug monitoring. Let us begin. To frame this clinical dilemma, we must start at the beginning with induction therapy. Induction therapy aims to provide intense early immunosuppression to prevent acute rejection right after the transplant surgery. These induction agents are generally categorized into two main groups: depleting agents and non-depleting agents. Depleting agents, like antithymocyte globulin, cause profound T-cell depletion in the patient. On the other hand, non-depleting agents, such as basiliximab, act without causing T-cell destruction. Basiliximab is a monoclonal antibody that acts as an interleukin-2 receptor antagonist, preventing T-cell activation but sparing the cells. You must understand the distinct mechanisms of these categories for the boards. While absolute indications are protocol-dependent, the physiologic principles of depleting versus non-depleting agents remain constant across different centers. Moving beyond induction, calcineurin inhibitors are central to maintenance immunosuppression. These agents, specifically tacrolimus and cyclosporin, work by blocking the transcription of interleukin-2 and other critical cytokines. By blocking this transcription, they effectively inhibit T-cell proliferation. The calcineurin pathway is absolutely critical for activating T-cells in response to alloantigens, making its blockade highly effective for graft survival. Despite their remarkable efficacy, calcineurin inhibitors carry a significant risk of nephrotoxicity. Acutely, calcineurin inhibitor nephrotoxicity manifests as reversible afferent arteriolar vasoconstriction, leading to a functional decline in the glomerular filtration rate. Chronically, prolonged exposure to these agents can result in irreversible interstitial fibrosis and tubular atrophy. Balancing the prevention of rejection against this risk of nephrotoxicity is a core challenge in post-transplant management. In addition to calcineurin inhibitors, maintenance regimens typically employ antimetabolites that target different pathways of lymphocyte proliferation. Mycophenolate mofetil is a classic antimetabolite that inhibits inosine monophosphate dehydrogenase. This action selectively suppresses de novo purine synthesis, which is explicitly required for T and B lymphocyte proliferation. While highly effective, mycophenolate mofetil is often accompanied by prominent gastrointestinal side effects. Another class includes the mTOR inhibitors, such as sirolimus and everolimus. These drugs inhibit the mammalian target of rapamycin, blocking the response of T and B cells to cytokines. By targeting a different cellular pathway, they offer alternative coverage. However, mTOR inhibitors possess a unique side effect profile, notably including impaired wound healing and the potential to induce significant proteinuria. The differences in mechanisms directly explain the distinct toxicity profiles of these maintenance agents. When interpreting a rising creatinine or new proteinuria, you must match the symptom to the agent's mechanism. Calcineurin inhibitors cause vasoconstriction, driving acute nephrotoxicity. The antimetabolite mycophenolate mofetil blocks purine synthesis in rapidly dividing cells, leading to gastrointestinal distress and bone marrow suppression. The mTOR inhibitors disrupt cellular pathways crucial for tissue repair, causing impaired wound healing, and can uniquely alter glomerular hemodynamics to produce proteinuria. The board-relevant skill is connecting the specific immunosuppressive agent to its unique adverse effect profile. You will be expected to distinguish between calcineurin inhibitor-induced nephrotoxicity and mTOR inhibitor-induced proteinuria on the exam. Memorize these specific profiles. Therapeutic drug monitoring is essential for balancing efficacy against toxicity, particularly for the calcineurin inhibitors. Monitoring relies primarily on measuring trough levels to ensure the drug concentration remains within a safe and effective window. The metabolism of tacrolimus and cyclosporin heavily involves the cytochrome P453A4 system in the liver and intestines. As a result, they are subject to significant drug-drug interactions. Inhibitors of the CYP3A4 system, such as azole antifungals and macrolide antibiotics, will increase calcineurin inhibitor levels, heightening the risk of toxicity. Conversely, CYP3A4 inducers, like rifampin or phenytoin, will accelerate metabolism and decrease the drug levels, potentially precipitating an acute rejection episode. Understanding these cytochrome P450 interactions is a frequent and crucial requirement for board questions. Finally, we must consider corticosteroids, which have historically been a cornerstone of post-transplant regimens due to their broad anti-inflammatory and immunosuppressive effects. However, chronic steroid use carries significant long-term morbidities in growing children. These include severe growth impairment, hypertension, and metabolic syndrome. To mitigate these adverse effects, steroid-sparing or steroid avoidance protocols are frequently employed in pediatric kidney transplantation. The rationale is straightforward: preserve the child's growth potential and minimize metabolic complications while maintaining adequate graft protection through a combination of other maintenance agents. The board expects you to understand the rationale behind steroid-sparing protocols and recognize the specific developmental context that makes them particularly important in pediatric nephrology practice. Always consider the long-term impact on the growing child. Let us return to the cold open. We have a post-transplant child with a rising creatinine while taking standard tacrolimus, mycophenolate, and prednisone. The rising creatinine could represent acute rejection due to inadequate immunosuppression, or it could represent acute calcineurin inhibitor nephrotoxicity driven by afferent arteriolar vasoconstriction. This is where therapeutic drug monitoring and the patient's history become critical. We must check the tacrolimus trough levels to assess for toxicity and review medications for any cytochrome P450 inhibitors that might have caused a sudden spike in drug exposure. It is a delicate balance. The fellow who understands the mechanisms of these drugs can effectively analyze the clinical data, manage the therapeutic window, and make the right adjustments without relying on guesswork. Here are your 4 board pearls. 1. Induction agents are categorized as depleting, like antithymocyte globulin, or non-depleting, like basiliximab. 2. Calcineurin inhibitors block interleukin-2 transcription to prevent T-cell proliferation, but they carry a significant risk of vasoconstrictive nephrotoxicity. 3. Mycophenolate inhibits purine synthesis and causes gastrointestinal side effects, while mTOR inhibitors can cause proteinuria and impaired wound healing. 4. Tacrolimus and cyclosporin are metabolized by the cytochrome P453A4 system, making them highly susceptible to interactions with azoles, macrolides, and rifampin. The next episodes continue this series. EP34 covers the diagnosis and treatment of acute and chronic rejection. EP35 details the infectious complications of immunosuppression, including CMV, EBV, BK virus, and PTLD.